Have you ever looked out at your garden in the middle of a golden July afternoon and felt a heavy sense of defeat because the weeds seem to be winning the battle? Have you ever wondered why, despite all the expensive bottles of chemicals and the hours of back-breaking labor, those stubborn intruders always seem to return with a vengeance? What if I told you that there is a quiet community of growers who have mastered a way to keep their garden beds as clean as a freshly swept floor without spending a single penny on herbicides or using any machinery made after 1850? I am so glad you are here with me today because we are about to pull back the curtain on the centuries-old wisdom of the Amish. There is a $12 billion industry that depends on you never learning what I'm about to show you. While millions of gardeners are trapped in a constant cycle of buying and spraying, the Amish have proven for over 300 years that you do not beat weeds by killing them, but by creating a world where they simply cannot exist. In this series, I am going to break down their extraordinary system step by step, including a final technique involving nothing more than a flattened cardboard box that will make you feel truly surprised you had not thought of it sooner. Let us go straight to the heart of the matter and start your journey toward a peaceful, weed-free garden. First is the hidden truth about what lies beneath your feet, known as the weed seed bank. This was the part that truly changed everything for me, and it starts in a place most gardeners never even think to look. Research has shown that a single square foot of your garden soil can contain anywhere from 56 to nearly 15,000 viable weed seeds just sitting there in the dark, waiting for their moment. These seeds are incredibly patient, and some can remain alive and ready to sprout for 10, 20, or even 30 years. Think about the common lamb's quarters plant, which can drop over 72,000 seeds in a single season. But here is the secret that the big chemical companies do not want you to realize. Those seeds need two specific things to wake up, which are moisture and light. For 25 years, I did exactly what my father and grandfather did before me, by firing up the heavy tiller every April until the earth looked dark and fluffy. I thought I was being a good gardener, but in reality, I was acting as an excavator for the enemy. Every time we turn the soil over, we are reaching down and pulling those sleeping seeds up to the surface and handing them a ray of sunlight. We are effectively saying good morning and time to grow. The Amish understood this long before the science caught up with them. They disturb their soil as little as possible because they know that if those seeds stay buried in the deep dark, they will eventually lose their power or be eaten by helpful ground beetles. If you want a clean garden, you must stop churning the earth and instead start building on top of it. By layering 2 to 3 inches of rich organic compost on your beds each spring, you are creating a thick blanket of darkness that keeps the seed bank silent while feeding your plants from above. Next is the extraordinary power of using living plants to fight your battles for you, which is a process known as allelopathy. While many of us have been taught to see an empty garden bed as a clean slate, the Amish see it as a dangerous invitation for weeds to move in. They understand that nature hates a vacuum, and if you do not choose what grows in your soil, nature will choose for you. This is why they use cover crops like cereal rye, not just for soil health, but as a form of natural chemistry. It is truly fascinating to think that certain plants have the ability to manufacture their own herbicides right in their roots. As the cereal rye grows, it releases special organic compounds that tell nearby weed seeds they are not welcome to germinate. Imagine your garden working for you 24 hours a day, even while you are inside your warm home, sharing a meal with your family. This is not a toxic spray that you have to buy from a store, but a living, breathing system that has been perfected over generations. Research confirms that these natural residues can suppress the growth of weeds like pigweed and crabgrass by up to 95%. When the spring sun begins to warm the earth, the Amish do not till this rye back into the ground because that would break the cycle of peace. Instead, they simply cut the rye down and leave it as a thick golden mat. You then plant your seedlings directly through this protective blanket. This method does 3 beautiful things at once. It blocks the sunlight from reaching the weeds, it slowly feeds the soil as it decays, and it keeps the moisture exactly where the plants need it most. By embracing this rhythm, you are moving from a place of constant struggle to a place of harmony where your garden begins to take care of itself. Next is a technique that feels almost like a game of chess with nature, and it is what the Amish call the stale seedbed method. This is essentially a brilliant trap designed to invite the enemy out into the open before the real battle even begins. I remember the first time an old grower explained this to me with a twinkle in his eye, and it made me realize how often we rush our planting out of pure excitement. To use this method, you prepare your garden bed exactly as if you were about to put your precious seeds in the ground today. You rake the soil until it is smooth, you water it deeply, and then you do something that feels very difficult for a passionate gardener, which is absolutely nothing. You simply walk away and wait for about 10 days. During this time, thousands of weed seeds near the surface will feel the moisture and see the light, and they will think it is their time to shine. They will sprout in a thick green carpet of tiny, vulnerable seedlings. And that is exactly when you return. Instead of using a heavy machine, you take a simple hand hoe and very gently scrape just the top half-inch of the soil. You are not digging deep enough to wake up new seeds, but you are effectively wiping out an entire generation of weeds in just a few minutes. By doing this, you are making a massive withdrawal from your weed seed bank without ever allowing a single new seed to be dropped back into the earth. It is a quiet, patient victory that requires us to slow down and think like the land. When I started doing this twice before my main planting season, I found that my weed problems dropped by more than half for the rest of the summer. It turns out that sometimes the best way to get ahead in the garden is to take a step back and let the weeds show their faces first. Next is a concept that hides in plain sight, and it completely goes against the tidy-wide rows we often see in modern gardening books. If you walk through an Amish garden, you will notice something striking, which is that there is almost no bare soil to be seen anywhere. Their gardens are packed with life in a way that feels both dense and intentionally crowded. You see, the Amish understand a fundamental law of the earth, which is that nature abhors a vacuum. If you leave even a small patch of dirt exposed to the sun, nature will feel an urgent need to cover it, and in most cases, it will use the very weeds we are trying to avoid. Instead of fighting this natural instinct, the Amish choose to beat nature to the punch by filling every available inch with something they actually want. They plant their main crops closer together so that their leaves touch and create a living canopy that shades the ground below. But the real magic happens at the feet of these taller plants. Between the rows of tomatoes or corn, they often sow low-growing white Dutch clover. This beautiful little plant acts as a living carpet that physically prevents weed seeds from ever getting a foothold. It does not just sit there, though, as it also pulls nitrogen from the air and feeds it back into the soil for free. When the clover flowers, it draws in a choir of bees and pollinators that boost the harvest of every plant around it. It is a perfect partnership where the clover feeds the soil and fights the weeds while the taller crops provide the shade. By moving away from the old habit of keeping clean, bare paths and embracing this lush, crowded diversity, you are turning your garden from a battlefield into a self-sustaining sanctuary. Finally, we come to the technique that ties this entire system together with such simple brilliance that it might make you want to walk straight to your garage right now. I call it the cardboard miracle. The Amish have a way of looking at what the world considers waste and seeing it as a gift for the earth. Instead of buying expensive landscape fabrics or chemical barriers that eventually break down into microplastics, they reach for plain brown corrugated cardboard. You simply take these boxes, flatten them out, and lay them directly over your garden pathways or even your planting beds. By overlapping the edges by several inches, you are creating a complete blackout curtain for the soil. Remember those thousands of dormant seeds we talked about earlier? With a layer of cardboard above them, their light switch is turned off permanently. They cannot see the sun, and so they simply never wake up. But unlike plastic, which chokes the life out of the soil, cardboard is a temporary guest that brings a beautiful transformation. As you cover it with wood chips or straw, it begins to break down and become food for a massive population of earthworms. If you were to peel back a piece of this cardboard after a few weeks, you would see a thriving metropolis of worms turning your soil into rich, dark gold. By the time the cardboard disappears 6 months later, your garden is weed-free, your soil is aerated, and your back is rested. It is a philosophy of surrendering the need to control everything and instead trusting the natural order of things. The Amish have been doing this for over 300 years because they know that when you build the health of the soil will take care of the weeds for you. It is time for us to stop fighting nature and start working with it. I would love to hear which of these traditional methods you are going to try first in your own garden this season. Please leave a comment below to share your thoughts. And if you found this journey into traditional wisdom helpful, I would be honored if you subscribe to join our growing community here. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next story.